Neural tube defects. What is neural tube defect? Failure of normal fusion of neural plate to form neural tube during the first 28 days following pregnancy or following conception. Neural tube defects are one of the most common birth defects occurring in approximately 1 in 1000 live births. Coming to exact prevalence worldwide, it is 1 case per 1000 birth, but there is marked geographic variation. About development of neural tube. Already we have seen in the definition, neural tube defect is the failure of closure of neural tube. The neural tube is a structure from which the entire CNS of the fetus develop. So, normal embryological development of neural tube. First, the neural tube is developed developed as a neural plate. It happens by 18th day following conception or following fertilization. This neural plate is developed from the ectoderm of the zygote. Then the neural plate will undergo a depression, that is called a neural fold, formation of neural fold. Then this neural fold, this is the cranial end and this is the caudal end. This cranial end or cranial closure will happen by 24th day, and from which the brain part or the cranial part of the CNS develop. Then there is a caudal end. This is a tube-like structure. This tube has a caudal end and a cranial end. The cranial end closes by 24th day and the caudal end closes by 26th day. From the caudal part, the entire spinal cord is developed, and from the cranial end, the entire cerebrum and its parts is developed. So, failure of fusion of this neural tube from caudal end to cranial end result in a series of defects called a neural tube defect. This complete closure of neural tube takes place by 28th day following conception, before the time the mother come to know she is pregnant. Coming to etiology of neural tube defects or NTDs. There are a combination of environmental and genetic causes. Exact cause remain unknown. Then the teratogen, that is the drugs and the radiation that causes damage to the developing fetus can cause NTD. Infection and maternal illnesses can cause. Nutritional deficiencies in the mother, especially folic acid deficiency, can cause. Some of the risk factors are women with a previous history of pregnancy with the neural tube defect, any history of or presence of neural tube defect in the first degree relative of the mother, then in women with the type 1 diabetes mellitus during pregnancy, women who take seizure medication or anticonvulsants like sodium valproic acid, also women or her husband or partners who themselves have NTD. So previous history of NTD, first degree relatives with NTD in the pregnant mother with type 1 diabetes or taking sodium valproate like anticonvulsants, or women or their partners who themselves have NTD are at higher risk of developing neural tube defects. There are two types of NTD, open and closed. Open is the most one. As the name indicates, in open NTD, the brain and the spinal cord are exposed at birth through a defect either in the skull or in the vertebra. Examples of open defects are spina bifida, anencephaly, and encephalocele. Second type is closed NTD. It is rare and it occurs when the spinal defect is covered by skin. That is, no defect is visible outside. No spinal defect is visible outside. Example, lipomyelonmeningocele, lipomeningocele, and tethered spinal cord. Coming to details of types of neural tube defect. As we have seen, among the open neural tube defect, the common one is spina bifida, that is 60%. So, this discussion of the video centers around spina bifida. What is spina bifida? Spina means spinal cord or spine. Bifida means split into two. So it is a midline defect involving the bone, skin, spinal column and spinal cord. Spinal cord may or may not be involved, but always there is defect in bone, skin and spinal column and may or may not spinal cord defect. Again, spina bifida or split spine is divided into two subclasses, namely spina bifida occulta and spina bifida cystica. Occulta means closed or hidden. It is the mildest form. In this, meninges do not herniate through the defect in the spinal canal. There is defect in the bone, skin and the spinal column. So, the meninges do not herniate through the defect in the spinal canal. The spinal cord remains intact within the spinal canal itself. Its covering, that is a meninges, does not protrude. That is why it is called the spina bifida occulta. Then there is the second defect, spina bifida cystica, that is open. There will be a cyst-like protrusion out of the bone defect or through the opening or through the defect in the spinal column. Two types of protrusion, meningocele and myelomeningocele or meningomyelocele. In this image you can see three types of spina bifida that we have already discussed. First type is spina bifida occulta. Spina means spine, bifida means split into two or open, occulta means closed. So there is a bony defect. There is absence of vertebral bodies here in this part. These are the vertebral body. These bodies are absent here. So this defect is not visible externally because it is covered by skin and other soft tissue. That means a bony defect that occurs without soft tissue involvement. The soft tissue development is normal here. There will not be any clinical signs and symptoms in the spina bifida occulta. The second type is spina bifida cystica. Cyst means protrusion or a sac-like projection. So this is the sac-like projection here and here is a sac-like projection here. According to the content present within the sac, it is divided into two, meningocele and myelomeningocele. Cele means protrusion. So here meningocele, as the name suggests, there is protrusion of the meninges. This is the meninges that covers the spinal cord. See, this is the spinal cord, this is the meninges and this is the CSF within the meninges. So this, as the meninges is protruded outside, the CSF also is seen as the protrusion within the meninges. So that is called a meningocele. Only the meninges covering the spinal cord is protruded. See, because of the protrusion here, the meninges you cannot see here. That is protruded outside with its CSF. Hence, it appears as a sac or cystic sac. When the part of the spinal meninges protrude through the bony defect and it forms a cystic sac, that is called a meningocele. Coming to myelomeningocele. Myelo means spinal cord or the nerve fibers. Meningo means meninges, cele means protrusion. As the name clearly suggests, within the protrusion there is nerve fibers and meninges. Here the spinal cord was flowing down or passing down and that was intact. There is no damage to spinal cord or spinal nerve. Here you can see the spinal cord. From here it protrudes into the sac along with the meninges and CSF. That is presence of nerve fibers within the sac. That is a difference of myelomeningocele from meningocele. A protrusion of spinal cord with the meninges with the nerve root embedded in the cyst. That is called a myelomeningocele. From the name itself, we can identify the difference. Myelo means nerve fibers, meninges means meninges, cele means protrusion. So within the protrusion there is meninges. Since meninges is present, there is CSF and also nerve fibers. Here there will be more evident clinical features or more severe clinical features. Here there may not be much severe clinical features. This is the difference between 3 degrees of spina bifida. Spina bifida occulta, little more detail. Failure of fusion of vertebral arch. Meninges do not herniate through the bony defect. The lesion is covered by skin. The symptoms are mild there may be slight difficulties in controlling bowel or bladder, weakness or numbs in the feet, and there may be recurrent ulceration where there is defect. The signs are overlying skin. Sometimes there may be a tuft of hair, or there may be lipoma, or a mass involving the fat, or there may be a birthmark, or there may be a small dermal sinus. It usually occurs in the lumbar region. Coming to diagnosis, it is by X-ray and clinical examination. In this image, you can see here the vertebral body failed to close, so the spinal cord remains exposed here, but this bony defect is covered by the skin. But over the skin where there is a bony defect, you can see a tuft of hair. Instead of tuft of hair, there can be a lipoma or a mass of fat tissue, or there may be a dimple or a dermal sinus. Second type, spina bifida manifesta or spina bifida cystica. Other name is spina bifida manifesta. Two common type, myelomeningocele and meningocele. It usually occurs in lumbosacral region, but it can be seen in cervical and thoracic region as well. But spina bifida occulta seen in lumbosacral region. Here it can be lumbosacral region, cervical and thoracic region. This is another difference between spina bifida occulta and spina bifida cystica. This is the image of a newborn baby with a protrusion at the lumbosacral area. This protrusion can be meningomyelocele and meningocele. Meningocele, there will be nerve fibers in the protrusion. In meningomyelocele. In meningocele, the nerve fibers will be absent. The spinal cord remains intact. Coming to details of myelomeningocele, the spinal cord and nerve root herniate into the sac. The sac protrudes through the bone and there will be a musculocutaneous defect. Myelomeningocele is associated with the other cranial abnormality such as hydrocephalus, you can see here, and Chiari-2 malformation, that is herniation of the cerebellum into the cervical spinal canal, causing obstruction of downward flow of CSF. Myelomeningocele is associated with the other abnormalities like orthopedic anomalies of lower extremity, intestinal malformation, cardiac malformation, esophageal malformation, renal and urogenital anomaly because of the presence of nerves supplying this organ within the sac. Clear symptoms and signs include paralysis of lower leg, muscle imbalance, sensory loss, bladder denervation, that is neurogenic bladder, bowel denervation, that is neurogenic bowel, that is complete loss of urinary and bowel control, scoliosis, Chiari-2 malformation or unknown Chiari malformation of the brain, that is herniation of the cerebellum into the cervical spinal canal. Coming to diagnosis, it can be diagnosed antenatally by elevated alpha-fetoprotein by checking the maternal serum and by ultrasound. In ultrasound, there will be polyhydramnios, that is increased level of amniotic fluid. At birth, this is clearly diagnosed by clinical finding or clinical examination. About meningocele, it is simply herniation of meninges through the bony defect. In meningocele, the covering will be little more thick compared to meningomyelocele. Meningocele is a fluid-filled sac with meninges. There is no neural tissue or no nerve fibers. Spinal cord and nerve root do not herniate. The primary problem with this is only cosmetic. There will not be much severe clinical manifestation, but only with the cosmetic or appearance of the baby will be altered. There will be a protrusion at the back. In my meningocele, there will be normal finding on physical examination. That means there is no neurological malformation such as hydrocephalus and Chiari-2. This manifestation will be surely present in myelomeningocele. This is another important difference between meningocele and myelomeningocele. Meningomyelocele or myelomeningocele may become complicated if the membrane that covers the sac will rupture. So, Maintaining the integrity of the membrane is very important to prevent CNS infection like meningitis and encephalitis. If it occurs, it will be life-threatening. Sometimes there may be another condition called lipomeningeal, which is very rare. Lipo means fat. See, you can see here, this is a meningeal and there will be collection of fat. Lipoma or fatty tumor located over the lumbosacral spine. It will be associated with the bowel or bladder dysfunction. This is a very rare type of NTD. Coming to prognosis of condition spina bifida, it is static, that is the defect what occurs, it cannot be cured. It is non-progressive, the defect that is already occurred by birth, that will be present like that, it will not progress. But there will be worsening of signs and symptoms of the patient. So the life of quality of life will differ. The prognosis of a normal lifespan is generally good with good health habits and supportive family caregiver. Lifelong they need the support of a family member in case of spina bifida, that is myelomeningocele, which is the 80% of spina bifida cases. Lifelong impairment associated with the spina bifida, that is MMC, meningomyelocele. Abnormal eye movement, pressure sore and skin irritation, lattice allergy, bowel and bladder control problem because of neurogenic bladder and neurogenic bowel, musculoskeletal deformities like scoliosis, joint and extremity deformities like contracture, clubfoot, hip subluxation, diminished growth of non-weight bearing limbs, osteoporosis, and tethered spinal cord. Another rare variant of neural tube defect is anencephaly, that is absence of brain or absence of development of brain. Failure or development of most of the cranium and the brain. You can see here the cranium, the entire skull part is absent, and also within the cranium there is no brain matter. The infants are born without main part of the forebrain, that is the largest part of the cerebrum. This is there is no cranium and there is no brain matter, that is called anencephaly. Coming to entire diagnosis of NTD. How NTD can be diagnosed? As we have mentioned earlier, there will be increased or elevated AFP level in the maternal serum examination. Ultrasonography can be evident, or by ultrasonogram we can identify abnormalities of neural tube. Then after birth there will be clinical examination finding. Also other imaging studies like MRI, CT and myelography can be done to identify associated anomalies like hydrocephalus and Arnold CRA2 malformation. About management. Management varies according to the type and severity. Already we have seen neural tube defect clinically we mean myelomeningocele, that is the most common type. The management of neural tube defect, we will concentrate on management of myelomeningocele. Genetic counseling is recommended if there is any risk factors that we have seen earlier is present. Then after surgery or after birth, surgery is essential to repair the defect. It is recommended at an early age. Then before the surgery, there is no particular name of the surgery. There it will vary depending on the size and the location of the defect. Before surgery, the infant must be handled carefully to reduce the damage of the exposed spinal cord. In myelomeningocele, there will be spinal cord present inside. So, the integrity of the membrane that covering the sac is very essential, because if the membrane is ruptured, it can damage the neural tissue that is present, which will complicate the problem. This may include to cover the spinal cord or to prevent the spinal cord damage, there will be special care and positioning, protective devices, changes in the methods of handling, feeding and bathing. About management of hydrocephalus that we have discussed in the video on hydrocephalus. Definitely some chronic abnormality will be present in children with the MMC. So these children require lifelong treatment like gentle downward pressure over the bladder to help them drain the bladder because of neurogenic bladder. Then, in some cases, there may be clean intermittent catheterization to drain the bladder is required. Every 2 hours, the caregiver has to pass a catheter into the bladder to drain it. The child cannot empty the bladder. Then, bowel training program may be necessary because of neurogenic bowel, and also high fiber diet may improve bowel function. Then orthopedic or physical therapy is necessary to treat various musculoskeletal problems. Braces may be required to treat muscle and joint issues. Neurological losses are treated with the type and severity of loss. Follow-up examination is very important throughout the life of the child. This is done to check the child's developmental level and also to treat any intellectual, neurological or physical problem before they become severe. Coming to treatment of meningocele. The key priority here is to prevent infection from developing through the tissue defect of the spine and to protect the exposed structures from additional trauma. That means they maintain the integrity of the membrane covering the sac. If the membrane is ruptured, it will lead to encephalitis or meningitis, which is life-threatening. Again, meningocele is treated with the surgery within the first few days of life to close the defect and to prevent infection and further trauma. But the surgery is not complicated as in case of meningomyelocele. The rare variety of spina bifida is spina bifida occulta. Severe clinical management is not needed because there is no severe clinical manifestation. But if there is lipoma, that can be removed. If there is a fibrous tissue, that should be removed because it may compress the spinal cord. Then, if there is syrinx or formation of cavities within the spinal cord, that has to be drained. Or if there is cyst, that also has to be drained. Then some surgeries can be performed to improve the functioning of legs or feet if there is any abnormality. Generally, the management include braces, orthotic supports, and corrective cast. Physiotherapy to improve physical strength and coordination. Therapeutic strategies for improving mobility, that is wheelchair. Surgical care depending on the type of defect. Then medical strategies for improving bowel and bladder function. It include already we have seen clean intermittent catheterization, voiding and cleansing routine, medication to reduce the bladder spasm, high fiber diet and increased fluid, and possible reconstruction of the urinary bladder, that is called a augmentation cystoplasty to include the capacity of the bladder. Then psychological strategies for personal and social adjustment. To conclude, the management of spina bifida or neural tube defects. This condition can be prevented by preventing folic acid deficiency and supplementing the mother during preconceptual period with folic acid 0.4 milligram. Then during pregnancy, there must be 1 milligram per day. It can be identified by prenatally and at birth. Then protect pre-op and post-op skin integrity to prevent infection, special handling to reduce nerve damage. Support parental coping, pictures of similar defects corrected. Genetic counseling for future pregnancy and early pregnancy for abortion. Complications, permanent, lifelong, various disability. Education about symptoms of hydrocephalus, symptoms of meningitis, and follow-up monitoring. Coming to detailed nursing management of this condition. The priority nursing diagnosis include risk for infection related to vulnerability of meningomyelocele sac, risk for impaired skin integrity related to exposure to urine and feces, risk for injury related to neuromuscular impairment, compromised family coping related to perceived loss of perfect newborn, deficient knowledge of family caregivers related to complexities of care for a newborn with serious neurologic and musculoskeletal defects. Coming to important nursing intervention, to prevent infection, the nurse should monitor vital signs, neurological signs, and behavior frequently. Administer prophylactic antibiotic as ordered. Carry out routine aseptic techniques. Always cover the sac with a sterile dressing moistened with a warm, sterile, normal saline or other solution and change it every 2 hours. Don't allow the dressing to become dry because the dry dressing will adhere to the sac, and while trying to remove this dressing, it may rupture it. It can lead to meningitis or encephalitis. So this intervention is very important to prevent. Then the dressing may be covered with a plastic protective covering to prevent drying. Second, to promote skin integrity or to maintain skin integrity, place a protective barrier between the anus and the sac to prevent contamination of the sac by fecal material. Diapering is not advisable if there is lumbosacral defect because diaper may adhere to the sac or it may irritate the sac, causing rupture of the membrane. So diapering is not advised, but always maintain a soft material between the anus and the sac or between the genital area and the sac to prevent contamination by fecal and urine. In contractures of lower extremity, the child may have clubfoot or dislocation of hip. So, to prevent these contractures, the child should be given range of motion exercise. Also, position the child, that is, the hip are abducted and the feet are in neutral position. The child should be kept in prone position or left lateral position or right lateral position with the hips abducted and the feet in neutral position always. Prone position or left lateral position is given to prevent damage of the sac or to prevent rupture of the membrane covering the sac. While maintaining in this position, hips should be abducted and the feet should be in neutral position to prevent contracture. Then massage the knees and other bony prominence with lotion regularly. Then pad them and protect them from irritation. About positioning of the newborn, as we have told, the newborn should be in a prone position so that no pressure is placed on the sac. Then after surgery also continue this position until the surgical site is well healed. Lateral position also can be given, but the prone position is the preferred one. Then to promote family coping, be sensitive to the needs of parents, encourage family members to express their feelings, provide privacy, encourage the family members to cuddle and touch the newborn. Teach the family about defect and encourage them to discuss their concern and ask questions. Provide information about the present state, proposed surgery and follow-up care. Information shall be provided in small segments to facilitate comprehension. After surgery, teach the family to hold the newborn's head, neck and chest slightly raised in one hand during feeding. During feeding, the head, neck and chest should be elevated to prevent aspiration. Also teach them that stroking the newborn cheeks to stimulate sucking. Here is the end of this video on neural tube defect. Thank you.